You're listening to the School Leadership Reimagined podcast, episode 289. How do builders like us make a dramatic difference in the lives of our students in spite of all the obstacles we face? How do you keep your vision for your school from being held hostage by resistant teachers, uncooperative parents, ridiculous district policies, or a lack of time, money, or resources? If you're facing those challenges right now, here's where you'll find the answers, strategies, and actionable tips you need to overcome any obstacle you face. You don't have to wait to make a difference in the lives of the people you serve. You can turn your school into a success story right now with the people and resources you already have. Let's get started. Hey builders, welcome to another episode of the School Leadership Reimagined podcast. I'm your host, Robyn Jackson, and today we're continuing our series on questions by considering a question that most principals never consider, not the way that we're going to talk about it today. In fact, we weren't even trained to consider questions like this. This is not a part of our training. It's not a part of our professional development. We're not talking about this question in principals meetings, but we should. And the question has to do with your vision. So you have a vision by now. You know 100% of students will, whatever it is. But do you know the role that every single person in your school plays to achieve your vision? Now, I'm not talking about the generic role, we all have to love kids. We're all in this together. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the very specific role that each position in your building plays on your ability to achieve your vision. Here's what I mean. Let's say that your vision is that you want 100% of your students reading at or above grade level by second grade. So first of all, you have to understand what it takes to get somebody to read at or above grade level by second grade. Do we know that? Now, a lot of times our PD will help us to do that, but have we taken it to the next level? Do we really understand the role that your pre-K teacher plays, the role that your kindergarten teacher plays, the role that your first grade teacher plays, and the role that your second grade teacher plays in helping students read at or above grade level by grade 2? For instance, in order to read at or above grade level, you need a couple of things. Kids need to decode. They need great vocabulary. They need reading comprehension, and they need fluency. Those are the things that you need by the time you get to second grade in order to be able to be considered a proficient or above reader. Okay, so we know that phonemic awareness starts in pre-K and kindergarten, and then, but do you understand to what degree they need to have developed students' phonemic awareness in order for students to be on track to be able to read by second grade? Do we know that? Do we know what specific strategies need to be reinforced in kindergarten or pre-K? We know that students start to develop fluency around, first grade and going into second grade, and they continue to do in third grade, fourth grade, and on. Where do they need to be? What needs to happen? We know reading comprehension is important, and a lot of times we focus on the other reading skills in order to get to reading comprehension, but background knowledge is a critical component of reading comprehension. So what are you doing to build students' background knowledge, to expose students to different things so that they are better readers by the time they get to second grade? You see, we don't think about those things, and we don't map it out. We also don't talk about what could we not do in order to be a proficient reader by second grade. What does it take? What's the floor of proficiency? And how do we make sure that we get every student above that floor? So what could we not spend time doing, and what should we be spending more time doing? Are you having those conversations with teachers? Do you have it mapped out from pre-K to second grade? And then in order to maintain students' proficiency every year, how does it change? After second grade, a lot of kids go from learning to read to reading to learn, but proficiency, you're still testing that. You're still looking at that third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade. So how do you sustain proficiency? Where does the focus need to be? Do you need to continue to build their background knowledge? Do you need to be working more on fluency? And where's the emphasis on fluency? Is it in third grade? Does that make sense? Do you not focus on fluency, but building more comprehension in third grade? Or does it make more sense to build more fluency in third grade? These are the questions we ought to be grappling with. And if we don't know the answer to these questions, we can't get to 100%. We can't even plan strategically. Now, imagine if you did know the answer to those questions, if you knew the one or two things that needed to happen in every single grade in order to get into the next grade. Well, then, in order to be effective in the next grade, then all of a sudden things look different. You have clarity around it. One of the things that we talk about a lot in Buildership University is this idea of 5 in, 5 out. What are the 5 most important skills students need going into a grade, and what are the 5 most important skills students need coming out of that grade in order for students to be on track for your vision. In fact, we are going to do a training in January on 5 in, 5 outs and how to facilitate that process and develop that list. But having that 5 in, 5 out list is critical if you ever want to achieve your vision. Again, we're not trained to do this. We're not taught to think this way. But if you could do that, if you had that, then you understood. Then when you went in to observe teachers, instead of giving them feedback about, the bulletin boards, you'd be looking in the classroom to see, is everything the teacher is doing in that classroom designed to get students to achieve the things that are most critical for your vision? And if not, that's where you need to get teachers focused on. If you understood what was most critical for your vision, you would also change how you provided professional development, how you provided what resources you'd spend your money on, what kinds of teachers you're looking for, who needs to be in what grade. A lot of times we decide who needs to be in first grade or second grade based on people's preferences or their experience, they've always been a second grade teacher. But if that teacher is not good at the thing that second grade needs, then that teacher doesn't mean in second grade. You may need to put somebody else. That teacher may be better off in another grade. If you don't understand what each grade needs, you can't do that. Let me give you another example. Let's say that you are you're K-8 school and you want all of your kids to have successfully completed algebra by 8th grade. Well, in order to do algebra by 8th grade, the kids need to know fractions and have mastered fractions by 5th grade. And in order to master fractions by 5th grade, kids need to know the adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing by 3rd, maybe 4th grade. And in order to do that, they have to have numeracy skills. So you can backtrack from your vision the critical skills and when they need to be accomplished in order for your students to be able to achieve your vision. That lets you know, okay, I need my 5th grade teachers to do this. I need my 4th grade teachers to be focused on this. In 3rd grade, this is the skill every kid needs to walk out with. And so you know the impact of each grade level and each position, each teaching position on your vision so that can help you fill that position, support that position, resource that position, give feedback to that position, and also track data on that position. So you're not looking at all the data. You can make some predictions. If I know I want kids at algebra by 8th grade, well, the prediction for me about how close I'm going to get to my vision in a few years is how many kids have mastered fractions by 5th grade. So that already tells me, and let's say that number isn't great. Let's say that number isn't what I want it to be. Then it gives me time in 6th grade and 7th grade to really double down on fractions and reinforce that so that those kids can successfully complete algebra by 8th grade. It gives me time to do things differently and to catch up. And it also gives me time to look at that grade level. Why aren't they getting fractions by 5th grade and back map from there? When you understand the impact of each grade level and each position on your vision, you can make all kinds of predictions. You can track the right data and stop looking at data that's not informing anything. It gives you time to make adjustments along the way. It helps you to focus at each grade level so you can really narrow your focus. And a lot of times, many people get these big jumps when they first set their 100% vision because they're doing the macro stuff. But then they hit a plateau because they're not doing the micro stuff. They do enough to kind of solve the big problems and plug the big holes. But if you're going to get to 100%, the road, the pathway from say 85% to 100% is a lot tougher than the pathway from 50% to 80% because it's smaller tweaks. And if you don't really understand the impact of each grade level on your vision, you're not going to get there. Let me give you a high school example. Let's say that your high school vision is that you want all students graduating, enlisted, enrolled, and employed. Well, if we're really good about saying, well, if they don't get all the credits freshman year, they're not going to get there. But do you know the impact of each teacher, each subject, each required class, each elective class on students' ability to be able to get to the point where they A, graduate, and B, have a plan for graduation, and C, act on that plan so that when they leave, they are prepared for the world, right? We always look at, the core four, the math classes, and do they have all their credits, and the history and the science and the social studies, and then do they have the electives? But, you want to make enlisted, enrolled, and employed a viable option for all kids. But if your state if your state institution, your state college, requires that students have 2 years of foreign language, for instance, then you need to be tracking that. Like, are they, because, we always say not every kid is going to college. And I don't believe that. I don't believe that college is right for every kid. But I do believe college should be an option for every kid. And a lot of times kids don't go to college because they don't have the option to go to college because we weren't intentional about helping them to earn the credits and get everything else they needed in place so that college was a real option for them. And so, are we tracking that, right? We talk about our elective teachers, and a lot of times our elective teachers are left out the conversation, right? But why do we have electives in the first place? It's because electives, we're working on the whole child, and electives feed a part of the child that the academics can't feed. PE is a great place for kids to learn how to take care of their bodies, but it's also a place for kids to blow off some steam and expend some energy so that they can be able to sit in class and learn. It's a place where kids can reconnect with their bodies. Do we really understand the impact that electives play on our vision? I want kids reading by a certain grade level. Recess impacts their reading. How we go to recess, when recess falls in the day, what they get at lunch impacts their ability to read. What they do in music class impacts their ability to read. It stimulates parts of the brain that they need for reading. If you don't understand the role that every single subject you teach, every single teacher, every single grade level in your building, if you don't understand the role or the impact that has on your vision, if you've not thought about it and been really clear about it, then it's going to be really hard for you to achieve your vision because you don't understand what you have in front of you. Not only that, but your teachers don't understand. It's one thing to sit down with somebody and say, okay, I want you in third grade this year. But it's another thing to sit down and say, well, our vision is that we want everybody reading at or above grade level by grade 2. So third grade's a critical year because pre-K through grade 2, we've been intensively focusing on reading. But by the time they get to third grade, they're going to come to you at or above grade level. And the role that you play is not only maintaining their proficiency, but also helping those kids who are at grade level get above grade level, helping those kids who are above grade level stay there. You are going to be doing more about enrichment for students. You're going to be doing more about helping them to develop a love for reading so that they're already good readers, proficient readers. But now your job in third grade is to create that love for reading. So now they can use their proficiency in ways to help them learn and grow and expose. If you're not open to doing that, then, not only will our test scores drop, but the bigger mission that we have for our school is not going to be achieved. See, that's a different conversation than, hey, I just want you in third grade this year, and let's take a look at your test scores and keep those numbers up. You're helping people see that they are part of a bigger picture. You're helping them see the role that they play. When you're sitting down with your PE teachers and you're saying, hey, I know our focus is on reading, but do you understand the role that PE plays in our kids being able to be good readers? And PE might be used for other things. PE could not only be used to just, burn off energy and help kids get physically active, but PE could also be a place where if your students don't have background knowledge, the PE teachers, the music teachers, the art teachers, they can help expand students' background knowledge, which then impacts their reading comprehension. So if your students have very little background knowledge or very little exposure, you could rethink your electives to be able to give them the exposure they need, because we know that the more exposure kids have and the more background knowledge they have, the better readers they become, the better they're able to comprehend. So maybe this is an opportunity to bring your electives in and use them and leverage them to help achieve your vision, and then to let the teachers know that's what you're doing and why, so that they can be a part of that vision too. If you are focused on helping every kid get to, complete Algebra 1 by grade 8, then instead of letting, English teachers off the hook or science teachers off the hook, you got to really think about what does it take to really master algebra? Why do so many students struggle with it? And the answer is algebra is about thinking. It's about problem solving. And we're not teaching our kids to be good thinkers and problem solvers. Well, that's something everybody can take on. So if we understand that that's our goal as a school, then we need to be sitting down with the science teacher and the social studies teacher and the family and consumer sciences teacher. And instead of just cooking, we need to be teaching cooking as a problem solving activity. Instead of doing really cool experiments and learning about the layers of the earth, we need to be deploying that knowledge to ask questions and to think about unknowns and to solve problems. Instead of just reading literature, we need to treat reading and writing as problem solving activities and giving kids more constraints around their writing and reading assignments so that they learn to think like problem solvers, because they begin to rationalize and reason and solve problems, and that prepares them for algebra at 8th grade. If I want my kids enlisted, enrolled, and employed, I don't start doing career fairs in 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade. I don't just force kids to start taking the PSAT at age 5 so that somehow they'll be ready for college. I'm also thinking about the other parts of college. What does it really mean to be a college student? There are so many schools that get kids into college and the kids drop out their freshman year because it feels like an alien place because nobody in their family has ever gone to college. Are we building the other parts that prepare kids for college? I remember when I was a high school English teacher, and a lot of my kids, if they went to college, they would be the first in their families to do so. And I remember reading some research that talked about 8 non-cognitive skills that were better predictors of college success than test scores, family income, AP, honors. They were non-cognitive skills. In fact, these were the 8 non-cognitive skills that they used when a lot of colleges used to test for, and they used an instrument to be able to test for it, because they found that they could give scholarships to kids who weren't traditionally looking kids. But if these kids had these 8 traits, they were going to be successful in college. Well, I said, well, if I want all of my kids to make college really an option for kids and to help them to be successful in college, I need to be developing these 8 traits. So in addition to teaching them all the things that I had to teach them in the English curriculum, I started developing the other traits. Like one of the traits was they had to have leadership experience. So I started building in opportunities for kids to lead out so that they could have leadership experience. I started encouraging kids to take on other leadership roles in school and in their communities. Another was a preference for long-term over short-term goals. So I started creating assignments that were more long-term assignments. I stopped doing so many short-term assignments. Now, in order to do that, I couldn't just give them a long-term assignment and expect them to do it. I had to teach them how to develop the stamina to hold on to a long-term goal and meet that long-term goal. And I showed them how to break things up into shorter goals. The other thing was that a lot of kids drop out of college because they're not comfortable on a college campus. It feels alien to their communities. So I started taking my kids out of their communities. I worked at a school that was, 15, 20 miles from downtown Washington, D.C., and some of my kids had never been into the city. So I started doing excursions where I took them into the city. I took them to the opera. I took them to the ballet. Not because I feel like the ballet and the opera were, some sort of, better than the other experiences that kids had. They were just different. And I wanted my kids to learn how to navigate different environments that weren't like their home environment, and to do that successfully. I didn't just take them to the opera. I sat down and I said, okay, we are going to the Kennedy Center to go see an opera. First of all, we're going to listen to the opera ahead of time so you know it. We're going to read the libretto so you know and can follow the story. They're going to have super titles, and so that you can follow along. These are our seats. I'd show them the map in the Kennedy Center. I talk about when we walk in, this is the first thing you're going to see. This is where the concession stands are. This is how much money you're going to need if you want concessions. Because I didn't want my kids to get up and see M&Ms and go want an M&M and realize that it's $10 for a box of M&Ms and they didn't have the money. I wanted them to be ready and prepared. This is how at the end of the opera, you say brava if it's, I walked them through the whole thing so that when they got there, they were comfortable. You see, if my vision is that kids are going to go on to college and be successful, it's not just an academic vision. There are other things that kids have to know. If my vision is I want kids to be great, proficient readers, there are other things that kids have to know other than just the basics about reading. Are we teaching those things? Where are we teaching those things? Are we intentional about teaching those things? You see, having a vision is great. I want you to have a vision, 100% vision. But you also have to understand, what is it going to take to achieve that vision? And what role does everybody play? I go down to the main office secretaries. I go down to the bus drivers. If the kids have a chaotic experience on the bus and they show up at school and there have been fights on the bus or they've been bullied on the bus, then they're not ready to learn. And so the bus drivers giving the students making sure the students have a peaceful experience on the bus so that when they come to school, they are ready to learn is critical to my achieving my vision. So I'm going to be working with my bus drivers. I'm going to be giving them the support they need. I'm going to be talking to kids about the bus behavior. I'm going to be making rules about the bus, because if that's getting in the way of my vision, we got to get that straight. And I understand this is the most important thing that needs to happen on the bus if kids are going to achieve the vision. When they get to school and they're in the main office, what is the most important thing? What is the role of my attendance secretary on my students' ability to achieve the vision? What's the role of the cafeteria workers? And what's the role of the lunch and how we serve lunch? And I know we don't have a lot of control over the food that's in the lunchroom, but we can do things like if our kids are not having access to healthy food and they don't get it at home and they don't get it at school, we can make a school garden and then start working with our cafeteria to include some of that food in the lunchroom, or in the work that we're doing the lunch line. Everything. If you don't know what role every single person in your building plays on achieving your vision, you're missing out on some really rich data and some real rich opportunities. That space, that space between 85, 88, 90, and 100%, it's about this work here. Yes, you can get some initial big gains from doing some of the big things, but this is the micro work we weren't trained to do. And this is the work that makes a difference. So I'm challenging you this week to really think about your vision. I know you said you want everybody reading by second grade. What does that mean? What does it mean to be a proficient reader? It's not just passing a test. Look at the test. Look at what the kids are being asked to do, but then also think about the soft skills that are required to that. Who's responsible for the hard skills? Who's responsible in your building for the soft skills? Where do they learn them? Because you can't expect kids to come with them. You can't assume anything. If it's something that's really critical to their success, they need to learn it at school. Where? Where are they going to learn it? Are they learning in kindergarten? Are they learning it in their music class? Are they learning it at the lunchroom? Are they learning it on the playground? Are they learning it in science? Where are they learning it? And if you and your staff can't pinpoint, okay, these are the specific things we need in order for everybody to get over this threshold for mastery, or this threshold for 100% success. These are the things that are critical. This is where they have to get them. This is the data we're going to track. This is how we're going to be intentional. And we're going to ignore some of the other stuff so that we can get our kids there. If you don't know that, then if you have some time over the break, it's quiet, the building's empty, you're going into school and you think you're going to go to school and you're going to catch up on that work. I get it. I wouldn't do that. I would carve out some time to map it out. What is it? What is it really, really, really going to take to get all of your students to achieve your vision? And if you want some help with that, we're going to do a 5 in, 5 out training in January, which can help you start with that. So look out for that. It's a training we're doing inside of Buildership University, but we'll make some tickets available for people who are not MBU if you all want to join us for that. So look out for that training. It'll come in January. But in the meantime, if you could take some time over the break and just start thinking about what it takes, then what you have in front of you is a roadmap to your vision. And then start having those conversations with your teachers when they return after the break and say, or maybe before the break so they can go home and think about it. Hey, listen, this is our vision, and here's the role that you play in your vision and in achieving this vision for our school, so that everybody understands and knows their role. And so that you can track that data and so that you can tweak where it needs to be tweaked and address the gaps in the process, the trajectory towards your vision. And so you can actually achieve your vision because you've got everybody working towards it in the most efficient and effective way possible, like a builder. I'll talk to you next time. Hey, if you're ready to get started being a builder right away, then I want to invite you to join us at Buildership University. It's our exclusive online community for builders just like you, where you'll be able to get the exact training that you need to turn your school into a success story right now with the people and resources you already have. Inside, you'll find our best online courses, live trainings with me, tons of resources, templates, and exemplars, and monthly live office hours with me where you can ask me anything and get my help on whatever challenge you're facing right now. If you're tired of hitting obstacle after obstacle and you're sick of tiny little incremental gains each year, if you're ready to make a dramatic difference in your school right now, then you need to join Buildership University. Just go to buildershipuniversity.com and get started writing your school success story today.